What's up, everybody? Cutroneo here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is video number 21 on my video progress series of Saudade number 3. So as I mentioned in my last video, there were specific things that I wanted to accomplish and that I was going to be splitting my practice, working on one section every day and rotating those 3 sections around over the course of the week. So as we just heard, we heard me do the initial performance of the second section, the dance, and some things that I was working on, some things that I had brought up was, one, the rhythmical clarity of the Hammer-Ons from Nowhere melody. In addition to that, just working on some of the mistake things and really just solidifying the piece, and also trying to be a little bit more colorful in the playing, especially when that repeated melody is coming around. So my focus today in practice, other than working on this, is that I focused on, obviously, my excerpt licks, which actually I did 3 of the licks in the first section, so we won't hear any progress on that. In this part, I immediately started working on the Hammer-Ons from Nowhere, and I gave it 10 minutes of practice, where before I was giving it 5 minutes, and really what I was focused on was initially being able to say those letter names all the way through, not only half tempo, but also bringing it at normal speed. I really felt that the extra 5 minutes really allowed me not to feel rushed while doing this. In addition to saying letter names, I also counted the rhythm, and I'm really trying to feel the fingers as the pulse, that accompaniment. While I'm counting that, I'm really trying to think of that, and what I'm finding is that it's very easy for me to flip the beat and to put the beat onto the Hammer-Ons, because I'm trying to bring those out and I'm trying to make that melody stand out on top of this metronomic pulse in the right hand. I'm not quite sure how that turned out in the performance, because I haven't listened back to it yet, but I can tell you that while I was playing it, it was really a struggle for me to keep track of that in my head as I was going through, and I think you can see that struggle a little bit as I'm trying to nod my head along with those fingers, and I'm also keeping the beat in my right leg as well, just trying to really solidify the pulse and then the melody working off of that pulse. The letter names are definitely helping because it's helping me identify where those notes are coming in on the offbeat. Really, my method in working on this, whether I'm doing it as an excerpt or whether I'm doing it within practice of the section, is that I'm really making sure that I can do my letter names at tempo, at 80. And then from there, I'm using the rest of my time to count it out loud, with an emphasis on lining up the beats with the actual beats in the music. From there, as I'm doing those things, I'm also trying to be aware of the balance. I find that the balance often throws off my rhythm. I imagine, this is sort of my guesswork now happening, is that as I become more comfortable with that section, counting it and singing the letter names, I will be more comfortable allowing my ear to have a little bit more critical role of hearing the volume balance there. I can do it slowly. I can do it slowly, but there I'm very much feeling every note. Bum 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 bum. So I'm trying to get out of that and feel. And as you can see, as I'm feeling that, I'm trying to make it obvious with my head gestures. There are times where I honestly get lost, where I forget a chord change in the hand. So I think that as I become more comfortable with that, that'll allow me to use a little bit more brain function, for lack of a better word, to pay attention to that. The rest of my time, the rest of my 20 minutes on this section of the piece was spent singing letter names, and I'm really trying to get the letter names at speed, at the speed of the piece. And for some of the faster 16th note runs, that is proving to be very difficult. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how effective that's going to be with having the skill of doing it at tempo. So because of that, I'm sort of I'm kind of giving myself a little bit of a pass. So the way that I'm working on this is right now I'm doing just phrases, and each phrase is 4 bars long, so very basic phrase structure here. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I can do one phrase, saying the letter names fast, usually 3 times in a row. The faster sections, when I'm working on saying the letter names faster, I'm doing slow practice and slowly building it up. So I'll do this much, right? I'll do that much slowly, 3 times in a row. I'll try and do it 1 time fast, and I'll go back and forth with that, trying to get it 3 times. Whether or not I get it 3 times at the fast speed, I'm not really overly concerned about that. I think that it has more to do with a lot of just processing and getting it ingrained in my head as it goes through. So anytime that I have to break it down that way, I'm altering my repetition slightly, so that way I'm not just sort of drilling out the same thing over and over again and getting overwhelmed, getting confused, getting frustrated with it. I do feel that if I just keep working on it slowly, it will come as in a faster pace, so that way I can speak it faster. And I found that in this section, where this part, I'm able to say the letter names fairly well. It's still a little iffy, but I can make it come out of spit out of my mouth quicker. And so there's another second part with lots of fast 16th notes that I started to build up that way. So I think it's gonna be a longer process. I might not give a whole 20 minutes for it, but for right now, at least for this week, I will, and we'll see what happens. I still haven't really made much decisions in terms of phrasing and adding a little bit of differentiation between each time the melody comes in. It's kind of happening at the seat of my pants, which I'm not that I'm not happy with, but ultimately I want to make those decisions. So I think what that just means is that, one practice session, probably next week, or maybe even the next practice session over the course of this week, just really trying to give a little bit of time and say, okay, well, what can I do here to, you know, bring a little bit of variation to that same melody. I think a lot of it has to do with listening as well. So I'll do a lot of listening to different recordings and see what other performers do with that and see if my instincts are on track or not. You'll hear coming up in the final performance that I am doing stuff, but it's all just sort of based off of what I'm hearing at that given moment rather than a planned out thing. And sometimes that works as a disadvantage to the accuracy of playing the piece. So let's take a listen now to the performance of this and we'll wrap up. So that was the performance of the dance. Again, my practice is going to be rotating each one of these three major sections. So tomorrow I will work on the opening for 30 minutes. I'm a little hesitant to see if really that opening needs 30 minutes, but I'm going to really strive to maintain that for right now. As the practice week concludes, I might ultimately change my mind and restructure that for the following week, but this week is all about spending 30 minutes with each section. So if you stuck around to the end of this video, thanks a lot. I appreciate your support. And please feel free to give this video a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them down below. I will either answer them directly or in the next video. If you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell notification button so that way you get notified every time a new video is released. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see everyone in the next video.